Exploring Healthier Masculinity Within Business, a monthly call for executive and senior leaders within industry who too rarely have a space to stop, to breathe, to take off the weight of being a leader of teams and organisations. Taking place on the first Monday of every month. Email gary.turner@radicality.co.uk. Hello, welcome to the next episode of In the Business of Healthy Masculinity. So whether you're watching us on YouTube, maybe listening to us on Spotify or Apple, or even reading the Substack, I hope that you get some value from this emerging conversation. Before I bring on my next amazing guest, I just want you to check out Hannah's website. Hannah Litt is an incredible human being, leader, advocate, just activist, brilliant human being I've got to know over the last few years. Check out her website at hannahlitt.com, and I might as well bring the main woman onto the stage. How are you, Hannah? How are you doing?
I am cold, but I'm all right.
That's a good start.
Right. Not made for these climates. Not made for these climates.
Oh, well, Hannah, thank you for joining me today. And I think when we were having a chat offline, we were sort of like, this is probably necessarily part one of at least two, because like there's a lot going on in the world, right? There's a lot going on.
Just a little bit, yeah, just chaos everywhere, but yeah.
Why don't you let people know who are listening or watching just a bit of a lowdown? What is your work at the moment, and why is it firing you up so much?
I knew you'd ask me that, and I was literally thinking about this all day, like, what is it I do? Do you know what the truth is? I still don't know how to articulate it in a way that people in the system will understand. It's just one of them things, like, if you know, you know. But essentially, I have taken all of these parts of me, that is the activist in me, the strategic leader, the human, the person that's worked in people functions, someone with empathy, and someone that's been really harmed by that system, and put it all together and gone, hold on a minute, I'm going to bring all of that, and actually this is how we dismantle the system. So I'm working through kind of the lived-in experience of me navigating through these systems, but also the strategic knowledge. But then there's something that's really, really radical, which is empathy and safety, community. Like, oh, yeah, but it's love. It's work of love.
This is a really important place to start, right? This is in the business of healthy masculinity. And I know that both of us, you know that I work within a corporate space, and I both know that the most harm being caused to ourselves and one another is within the business, in the workplace, but no one talks about it, because it's like, hit the numbers, keep going hard. Don't matter if you're burning out, doesn't matter if you feel awful, keep going, because you need to keep the bills on, you need to keep the lights on, and you only do that by having a job, right? That's the old system. That's the old world. And I know you see it very differently. So what are your, I'd love to invite you to sort of share a little bit around, how do you see things emerging as we go forward?
I never really fit into the system. So I've always had to kind of look at it in a different way. But what really harmed me was trying to fit into those systems. And then I got violently pulled out of the system. And I remember going, right, okay, this is the time I need to start on my own, because I can't sacrifice myself anymore. So I think I just kind of went with intuition and trust. And one thing, I don't like to be an idiot, Gary, you know this. And I just thought, how can I cooperate with the same systems that are trying to harm me, well, have harmed me, and are currently harming me, that I'm trying to dismantle? There was a whole thing that was going on, like, how do I can't participate in something because I have to stand strong. So what I realized was that I went through that journey very quickly and very intensely, and that's always been the case, because now what I'm seeing is people are starting to, they're almost kind of 2 years behind me, and that, I don't mean that in a bad way. I had to go through that because I had to guide others who are on that journey. Because one thing about me and the work I've always done, the fundamentals of it wasn't based on data. It was based on making sure where I see harm, no one has to go through what I did. No one has to go through what I've witnessed. I don't want that, genuinely. And that's why I say it kind of comes from a place of love. Justice is love for me.
And do you mind, if, without wanting to sort of re-traumatize you, would you mind help? I'm not going to do that, but I would really appreciate it if you could sort of bring to, like, there probably will be some senior leaders that are men. That's very much the target audience that are going to be watching or listening back at some point. And they may, for the first time, be going, "What do you mean harmed? Like, system doesn't harm, because what I see day in, day out is just work hard. There's a meritocracy. As long as you work hard, you get rewarded. A lot of us. This was my view on the world till 5 years ago, right? Is that I just didn't see this harm that was going on. So, do you mind just bringing to life a little bit what that means? Like,
yeah, and I mean, any leaders that know me that have caused me harm, I told you, so that they won't be unaware. But what I will say is that we talk about the system, but there is people. System is made up of people. So those people. So I didn't know until about, was it 3 years ago, I got diagnosed with ADHD. I had ADHD. So I used to literally drive into work every day and be like, "Hannah, shut your mouth. No one wants to hear what you have to say today. Just be quiet." I'd book in meetings, and then someone would say something. I just couldn't help it. But just by not giving me the grace, because I didn't work hard, because working hard made me get a chronic pain syndrome. It made me get an autoimmune disease. So what I did is I worked smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it comes with ego. It's ego. It's ego. And I've always said, like, you don't have to like me, but respect the work that I do. And I think that's where the harm comes in, because essentially we're participating in a system that was created to harm all of us. But we will have to recognize how we participate.
So I'm going to bring this to life for me in terms of what's been going on around the world, like live streamed G-side, horrific, the last 2 years, whatever you want to call it. And with your support, and I want to put it out there so people know, and Hannah has been working with me over the last 12 months, in part, alongside some others, to help me get clear on my role from within industry around how can I show up differently? How can I be in solidarity, not to judge people from within the system, but to try and wave the flag and say, hey, things are actually very different to how we perceive them. And maybe we can leverage the power we have within the system to ask different questions to try and intercept that harm that's being caused. And I just want to say thank you for that support over the last 12 months. And I want leaders and people that are watching and hearing us to understand that they do have agency. They do have the ability to ask questions, even if they're maybe afraid to do so.
I think we have to look at the fact that actually, why are you afraid in the first place? Like, what is it? And I think, again, it's understanding the system. Are you scared of getting it wrong? Are you scared of not being the brightest person in the room? Are you scared of kind of reckoning with that you do have this privilege? Like, what are you scared of? Because I think when I sit in the room with leaders, especially, white men, I'll be honest, they probably wouldn't have even had a friend that looked like me. So ultimately, this comes back to, if I really want to do this, because if you trigger me, Gary, right, and I'm healed enough, and I'm not saying this, I'm talking about me personally. If you trigger me and then I respond to you with my unhealed version of myself, which sometimes we can't help, but that's my ego. Am I doing this because I really want you to do better, or do I have to show you what it looks like to have humility? Do I have to show you what it looks like when, there's no ego involved, or, the dismantling of the ego? One thing I've learned in my whole journey is that I'm not here to tell anyone to do anything. I'm here to move the way that I need to do and inspire those to come along with me. That's what I'm here to do. And it's not going to look the same, because essentially this is healing systems and it's healing ourselves. And understanding how it's been created. And I don't just mean from a statistical point of view. I don't mean by understanding how race was a construct. I mean really understanding this from a spiritual, from a energy point of view, from a who we are. Who were we before this system?
Great question. What are we before this system?
What are we? Who were we? What did we do? How did we communicate? Because I got harmed really badly financially, right? And then when I realized that actually that is the biggest tool to make us fear, to control, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. But money's not even real.
Now, this was a really interesting revelation for me, to be honest, a few years ago, which is, it could be pieces of straw, could be bits of grass, could be a tool that you made, right? It's just a mode of exchange, but we've got so wrapped up in the materiality of money that we lose ourselves to it, right?
But what does it do? Because actually, if I if I give you a gift of, I know, let's say you give me some potatoes and I give you some carrots, right? There's an exchange happening. Money has such a level of control over you when you give that. It's not the same as when we give kind of freely, but this just still has. And whether the person that's giving it is giving the control, the person that receives it then feels indebted to that person. So it's the energy that actually comes with money as well that we don't talk about enough.
That's really interesting. And there's almost this. It's actually, I was cutting some of the clips for next week's episode, Hannah, and there's some really common patterns coming up around this giving. And I know you do a lot of work around this, which is actually we're remembering, right? We've used that phrase quite a lot when we speak. You talk about spirituality, talk about energy. That's going to freak a lot of people out probably who hear that on the podcast. That's fine. Go do some exploration. But at the end of the day, I know my journey the last 5 years, 10 years has been a remembering journey. It's not, yes, I've learned some things along the way, but it's actually been almost like a reclaiming of my own sovereignty, that I don't have to just say, noddy dog, yes, you're telling me so-and-so that I must do this and therefore I conform. Do you know what I mean?
Because that's all we're waiting for. We're waiting for an instruction that we can move forward, because we are being bombarded by so much information right now. We don't know what way to look. But again, we're so confused. We're looking for, we've got to a place now where we think convenience is liberation. No, it's not. So actually, it's true. It's about remembering, and people might think this is really wild, but I challenge anybody to start looking up their ancestral path and find me a grandparent that didn't live off the land and know how to cure things with plants and herbs, and that's spirituality, that's nature, that's sorry, the kitten's here. So how do we actually, it's about remembering, because this has all been put in place, and then the survival techniques and the ego and all comes into place, but it's all on purpose.
See, that's the bit that actually blew my brain, was realizing that over many generations this stuff has been actively put in place to maintain a certain status quo. Do you mind speaking to that a bit about that from your context?
I'm just gonna. This is Nala.
Nala, if you're listening, this is the non-human relative of Hannah,
who has a story all of her own. Sorry, can you repeat what you want? Try not to.
I absolutely love this, because this is the point, right? This is non-human interaction right now. This is Nala, the non-human cat friend of Hannah. So my question and curiosity for you, Hannah, was around your experience of these systems as we have them at the moment. Like, what is possible? Let's go that route. What is actually possible for us? Because we've been so conditioned to believe that you get the grade, you get the job, you buy the house, you retire, and then at some point after 50 years of work, you're allowed to, inverted commas, live. Like, yeah, but what's the alternative? What's the alternative?
We need to start looking at what we're measuring success by, because you know what, we could have millions in the bank, but what if you're morally bankrupt? Like, actually, what is the currency that we're working with? What's possible is, anything's possible. To be honest, anything is possible. And actually, when we talk about spirituality, actually now we're seeing we've come to a place where actually science and spirituality are meeting hand in hand. So actually, there is science behind it. But I think for me, this is about helping. I don't know what's possible, but I know that nothing is not possible when community comes together and a great group of people that are determined. The issue that we have right now is not that people are not doing the work, it's that people are not organizing enough. We're not coming together in community. I keep saying it, community. That is the way, that's what's possible. And when you're in community, whether that be in the workplace, outside of work, it's a force to be reckoned with.
You're really sparking something. I went on this regenerative design lab experience, I think it was about 3 years ago, with my other guide, Sam. She suggested I have a go at it, Hannah. And I ended up creating, after about 8 weeks, this thing called the conscious chemicals community, right? And I've done this just big visioning thing around what would it be, safe spaces, spaces to challenge the status quo with love and care, but do that in these different zones and things. And back then I was just like, this is so ridiculous. Like, what a ridiculous idea. That will never happen. And like, as I've got to meet you and other people, I'm like, bloody hell, that was actually pretty spot on.
Well, when did we first meet, Gary, like face to face? What were we doing?
That was what, how many years was that? 2 years ago?
2 years ago. 3 years ago now.
3 years ago.
So what were we doing that day? Do you remember?
I do.
We were at an event redesigning what the future looks like. We'd just started that journey, and like here we are, kind of 360. But that's the place space that we met. Going, actually, what does education need to look like? What does workplace needs to look like? We were having those conversations, but the problem is, it's not that nobody believed in it then, and nobody was there to do the work, but we couldn't organise.
So what's the blockers? What are the blockers to organising, in your opinion? What needs to shift for this to accelerate?
Fear. Fear and understanding how this is, and healing. So this little critter here, who I'm just going to show you again because she's so cute. She is my little non-human reminder every day that love is more powerful than fear. And I think that's what it is. It's community and love. So if anybody knows me 2 years ago and hasn't seen me for 2 years and is looking at me right now, will be like, oh my God, I can't tell you how honestly, like deathly afraid I was of animals, hamsters, you name it. I've got friends who've got dogs and I didn't go to their house. I've been friends with them for 15 years. Never went to their house because they had a dog. That's how scared I was. And when I started healing and I released the fear, this happened. And she's my little reminder. But she's taught me boundaries. She's taught me unconditional love. She's taught everything I needed to give to myself. I've given to her. So we say our affirmations every morning, don't we? We dance it out every morning. It's what we do. And I feel like I'm doing it for her, but actually she's healing me.
Thank you. This is massive. You know about my non-human daughter, Winnie the Pooh. Exactly the same thing, right? Exactly the same thing. And like I talk to Jackie, my wife, about this often, is that no matter how angry or frustrated I get with my day, whatever's gone on, Winnie's always there, just going, "I got you. You're okay. I've got you." Like, always. And this is the thing, right? And I think you're weaving already a couple of things. When I think about being in business spaces, and also when do we, particularly men, but all of us, come from healthy or unhealthy masculinity, I do feel the over-index on control, the over-index on believing that we have to have all the answers is some of the root cause pains, particularly us men, but I think all of us carry, is that sort of colonized belief that we have to have all the answers.
We do have all the answers, though. We do. What we don't is give ourselves the space to really listen to those answers, to trust our intuition, to listen to our gut, to not be distracted. I tried sitting in silence for the first time, I think, in my life about 3 weeks ago. I did 5 minutes and 3 minutes, but I don't know if silence was definitely not a place of comfort for me at all, whether that be background noise, TV, music, something, or me doing something. So I just laid there, and I remember saying to a friend, when you sit in silence, do you like close your eyes, or do you keep them open? She was like, I was like, because I've never done this before. How do I do it? She was like, I think you do whatever you want. I was like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes. So, how often do we sit with it? We have got the answers. We've all got the answers. It sits within us. And if we can't find it, we go to community and something will spark it off. But we've got the answers.
Good challenge. Where was I coming from with having all...
In a toxic way, yes. Yeah, I think in the physical sense.
The interplay, I think but it's really interesting. You're bringing, it's so important, right? You're bringing up, I feel what you're speaking about there is the sort of the positive interplay of the feminine energy of having all the answers, not from an arrogance point of view, not from a control point of view, but from a knowing point of view. And I think I was coming at it from that sort of unhealthier, I need to have all the answers because I need to feel like I'm in control.
Well, I've been there too. If you ask me what healthy masculinity looks like, I'd say me 2 years ago, me a year ago. That's what it looked like. I was a level of healthy masculinity, and it exhausted me because what happened was I was in unhealthy femininity. So I still didn't have the balance.
See, I've not even heard that phrase, unhealthy femininity. I've never even heard that phrase. Very intriguing.
Yeah.
What did that look and feel like for you, Hannah?
It felt like I'd really embodied my masculinity because I'd had to, not out of choice.
Right.
So this softness that comes with the femininity, the workplace really, it taught me one thing. It taught me that my intuition was never respected, and my intuition is the best, most incredible part. It's my gift. So imagine being told that your gift is not enough, or so. But when I did run on intuition, I was normally doing it from a place of survival,
right,
not from a place of grace. So I think that's where I was really, I didn't feel safe enough to embody this kind of divine feminine energy. It felt like the minute I did something, it would kick me out to make me get back into that masculinity. And then I didn't trust it. I didn't trust that if I was in it, that I would be able to stay in it without someone chucking some more crap at me, to be fair. So I operated really well with logic, driven, taking the lead, guiding, really good at that, to the detriment of myself.
This is so relevant for me. It's like, right, still operating within business spaces as I do. Like we had an exchange earlier today, right? I went to see Come Alive. For anyone that hasn't seen it yet, it's the amazing theatre show experience in London based on The Greatest Showman, the movie. But my God, I was literally bursting out of my chest watching this show as we're recording this. It was a couple of days ago. And I literally felt this vibration and upset. I was welling up in my eyes because I was just like, I cannot believe for how long I've allowed myself to operate from this small 10% version of me, because I've got to take the money, got bills to pay, I've got to keep food on the table, all survival instincts, right? All valid. I could go and get another job, but it's not easy. We've got things, bills to pay, etc. But my God, that feeling in my body screaming at me, you've got to stop letting yourself be small, Gary.
Yeah.
You've got to let yourself stop being small. It's so powerful, Hannah. It's so powerful.
But also the times when you are small, because this is what I was thinking, the times that I have made myself smaller, I wasn't at my best. So I kind of, even when I look at leadership, I've been, a lot of people see me as an activist. But people forget that I spent over a decade in corporate spaces. I've worked for Sainsbury's.
I forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I've worked for corporate organisations my whole career. I've not worked for a corporate. So I think people forget that when you are kind of moving through that, they see me as this activist. But when I was in those boardrooms, I'd be, presenting in one of my first roles. I'd be presenting to the board of directors at Barclays Bank and Barclaycard and telling them actually how their culture needs to be different. I didn't feel like a leader. When I felt like a leader was when I was out there with my megaphone chanting and hearing thousands of voices chant back at me. It was when it was the race rights and I was at the front, and I remember just saying, look, they didn't turn up, we made it, etc. And just seeing a flood of arms just go up. That's when I felt like a leader. And I was like, because people want to follow. I don't want people to see me as a leader because of a job title. I want people to be inspired and follow me and see, but also see me as a human being that fucks up sometimes, but also I'm not so senior you can't come and tell me, because we're still human beings. Tell me if I did something, tell me, and I'll apologize, or I'll give you the rationales why I did it. But that's what leadership isn't. What is leadership? Because it ain't what we're seeing right now.
Isn't that the truth? I love that. And I love you sharing that, because I think this is a really important portal, right? The gate. You're not just trying to serve organizations and leaders for the sake of it, right? We both understand. And Shahana spoke about this on episode number 8, that there are so many thousands and millions of people working in organizations that are almost like an untapped network.
Yeah.
That are really, really waiting to be activated by someone like you, right? Within an organizational setting.
And I'm not here like my offering. I'm not like, oh my God, I have to speak. I really do want to speak to CEOs. Just because I want to understand what their barriers are. And you know what? I did a call out to say, like, I'm just looking for one I haven't heard from one of them. And then I just started to, I'm not here. I'm here for the people that want to make a change to make a change. And all I'm saying to leaders is that you can get on it now, or you can find out, because one thing I can do is activate people to make change and move forward. And I've proved that, you know, I have somebody that works for another corporate that literally worked in finance and now leads a DI, because I was like, no, tell them, you know, stand in it. What I do is I uplift the people that are dismantling the system. I bring them together in community and I make them realise who they are, what their purpose is, where their power is, and how they move forward while keeping them safe.
There you go. There's your elevator pitch.
There we go. But essentially, that's because I've spoke to CEOs and I've spoke to people, and you know, we'll go from, you know, talking about strategy all the way down to, you know, actually, how do we heal? Like, you know, and there's always something. Someone will be like, oh, you know, I don't, but I do like to go out in nature a lot, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And when it starts to make sense to people and they feel seen, because another gift of my trauma and my divine feminine and just who I am is I have really good intuition, but I can also see I can walk into a room and I can sense people's energy, and I can also see where they're hurting. So I have two options. I can go and kick that wound if I want to, but I'm not that kind of person. I do have it in me though. Or I can actually identify it and help them name it and help them work through it, because actually we're more scared to heal at the thought of it than we are to actually do it.
If you're listening or watching, I hope you're getting a lot of value. I know I am, which is why I love doing these conversations. Hannah Litt, oneword.com. Go check out Hannah's work. As we start to sort of wrap up this first exploration, Hannah, we were sort of thinking about this might be, I don't know, sort of like reflection, remembering, activation. What do you feel this conversation's brought forward for you, or what's it reminded you of?
Do you know what? This is the first podcast I've done this year, and I used to do loads. And I think I was thinking about this before. I feel like I'm coming as a different version of me. And I think, you know, like I said on my website, because I kept doing different versions where I was like, but it's okay because my website's going to evolve, because I'm evolving, I'm healing, and I'm changing. And this has to be an ongoing conversation, because my healing journey was very much kind of like this. And if I didn't have people when I was down at the bottom, right, this conversation has to happen, because everyone I have this conversation with gets it and is on it, but feels so alone. So, and I don't really care whether you're a CEO or whether you are working in reception or you are in retail. We're all human beings, and we all feel, and we are all being hurt by the system. I posted a video yesterday that there was a group in Sheffield that were out there and they were standing in front of somebody's home, and they were like, we want a bailiff-free Britain. And I was like, I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, I want one too, actually. But to really kind of understand that we are being bombarded by so much information and so much conflict and genocide and harm everywhere we look, that it's okay for us to, we can't do everything, was what I'm trying to say. Is that, and I'm glad that there's people that are moving for a bailiff-free Britain, but essentially this is the same system we're all trying to dismantle. Even the far right, I get it. I get why they're angry. You know, we are all literally surviving. We can't put food on our table. I get that. I just need them to project their anger in the right place, and then we're good. So, you know, for me, it's understanding we have to have these conversations, because we have to remember who we are. We have to understand the system, and we have to understand how it's harmed us and how, because they don't have to divide and conquer anymore. We do it ourselves. And we have digital channels now, so it's so easy to do it. It takes one viral post to create either a really good movement or a divide between two communities, or to 3 communities or 10 communities. Really, really easy.
It's so intriguing to me, this, because even trying to find space within a business setting, like my context, so trying to even just get people to slow down, take an hour out of the busy day to day to even connect like this and have a conversation, Hannah, it's like extracting teeth. Honestly, it's really, really hard.
But not even business. Like, think about it. So, you know, remember the days where you used to just go and call for your mates? So you just ring your mate and be like, what you doing? And then off you go. Now, if you want to speak to your friend who's a good friend, you're like, okay, I can schedule in on Wednesday after 3. Like, how have we got to the point where we don't just pick up the phone and go, what are you doing? Where do we actually just move and develop our relationships, but just do something, right? We have so many friendships that are now virtual, which is great. They're online, but it's stopped us seeing each other, doing things. And it stops us creating spaces for joy.
Last word to you, Hannah. What do you want to leave our listeners and viewers with at this stage? Bearing in mind this will also go out just before the so-called Christmas 2025.
Consumerism is a huge thing. No, so I think for me this is it's ongoing work, but I just want everyone to know, like, I've been through this journey, and when I say it killed me, it did, but what it killed was my ego. And, you know, I've had conversations with people and they're like, oh, I'm really sorry that happened to you and it's beautiful. And I'm like, no, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry, because all I see this now is my training ground of what I was supposed to be doing. But what we have to do is lift our heads up, but we don't have to do that alone. And I think kind of doing this work has now got the connotation of it being something hard, something that makes you weak. I can tell you now, when I cry, which is very rare, I'm still working on that, there's power that sits in my tears now. There's the power that knowing that that's the release. You know, there's so much more that I'm trying to embody now in my creativity, because this is about unlocking the right side of our brain. That is the creativity that has been just literally closed, and we know we can, because if I sent you a video now, Gary, and it was 10 minutes long, you'd say to me, okay, I'll watch that later. We haven't even got 10 minutes. We want to see things in 30-second chunks. This conversation really should be like 3 hours, but, you know, we're condensing it down just so people watch it. So I think there is something about, I'm not here to shame anybody, because quite frankly, that was so 2020. We've come to a point now where if I genuinely want to do this work, I'm not going to say that you can harm me. There's a difference between that. But if you're learning and you're getting things wrong and you're evolving, but I'm really going to help you see who you are, dismantling these systems, away from those systems. Who are you at your core? There's a line, I know I'm going on, but I will stop in a second. But there is something I read that said, before we came down to earth, our souls signed this contract. Now, I don't mean that in a gaslighting way, but I mean there was so much power for me knowing that my body might get weak, my mind might get weak, but my soul signed up to this. My soul knew that no matter what, my soul is strong enough to carry out whatever I have been put on this planet to do. And I believe it's to change the world. Not myself, but through community. And if I am the person that has to be that shield and that barrier, I've done it my whole life. I may as well do it for humanity, and you know, there'd be no bigger honor for me. So for me, it's been a real reframe and self-love, and that means actually not from this exterior, but this is about, I genuinely know I'm not perfect, but I know I'm a good human being, and there's a whole lot of confidence that comes from that.
Thank you, Hannah. HannahLitt.com, one word, and I think that last statement is so powerful. How do we remember to love ourselves and come from a place of high self-worth? And how does that shift everything? Massive. Thank you, Hannah. Until next time. Thank you. Thank you, anyone that listened, viewed. Please like, share, let us know some thoughts, give us your constructive challenges, expand the conversation, and most importantly, get into community.
And just, I've got another last word. Sorry. Any men out there that are watching this, especially white men, please talk to Gary. I have a little statement which says, "Be more Gary, be more Gary." Now, Gary's not perfect, but Gary bloody tries, and he can provide the space. Please, white men in general, get in touch with Gary and go on this journey. Because actually, Gary, I want to say thank you to you. Because it's been beautiful to watch the evolution of you, but not just this kind of deconstructing, but the joy, the glow sticks, the joy, all of that, every single part of you. I'm going to tell everyone that your Spotify Unwrapped. What was your age? Your listening age? 16.
16.
16. So that's the point. That's what you get when you engage with Gary. You get all the multifaceted kind of the healing. So please, everyone, get in touch with Gary.
That's very generous. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hannah. And take care. See you around soon.
See you soon.